welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our MLB DFS tournament hitters for Tuesday, April 11th, 2017. I'm your host, Nick Valinchak, better known as Nick from CWE on all of your favorite daily fantasy sites, and I am here to bring you my three favorite hitters for today's slate. I'll be using FanDuel pricing for this one. I do kind of have in mind where they are on DraftKings as well, and I will probably refer to them additionally. So, interesting slate tonight. Basically, all I can say is that you should definitely have the Rockies side of Coors in your lineup. I'm not saying to not have the Padres side of Coors. I'm definitely not saying to play either pitcher in this game. I'm just saying that this one sets up far nicer to me for the Rockies side. But let's start things off with what will actually end up being one of my favorite stacks today, and I'm hoping that it goes under-owned. Let's go catcher JT Realmuto, 2,600, facing Bartolo Colon and the Atlanta Braves. So the Marlins are going to get no respect. Everyone's going to continue to say they don't do this, they don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And maybe like 1 out of every 5 games against them from a pitching perspective ends up working out. I don't think you should have been looking at Bartolo Colon to begin with. I don't think his 2016 stats are as much in play as maybe others are going to attempt to use them. I think that this is going to be the situation where we see Bartolo make his nosedive. I understand he looked reasonable against his former team in the opening game. I actually think that the Mets offense is a little bit worse, if not a lot worse, than the Marlins offense. I'm expecting this one to be a pretty high-scoring game. Vegas does not necessarily agree. That's fine. Realmuto priced at just 2,600 with the start he's off to on offense is just silly. This guy is batting 500 as it exists right now, and while there's certainly going to be some regression because nobody bats 500 or remotely close throughout the year, it's still a situation I want to take advantage of. Statistically, we want to target lefties against Bartolo. I don't care. I'm fine with the Marlins. I've said this on multiple videos already. I'll say it again. I don't even care if this Marlins offense is death by paper cuts. I don't care if it's singles and doubles. It all gets done the same way at the end of the night. If you don't believe me, look at the Washington Nationals last night. I don't think a single batter hit a home run, but they still put up 11 runs, and they were on multiple tournament-winning lineups. I know all of my lineups had at least Steven Drew, but usually some combination of Steven Drew, Bryce Harper, and Adam Eaton. Same thing tonight with the Marlins. I think that Realmuto's a guy who could definitely come through with a double, an RBI, and a run scored. At 2,600 or even 3,600 on DraftKings, that's enough for what he brings to the table. Moving on, let's go to first baseman Freddie Freeman going up against Dan Straley. Why am I targeting this matchup? Nothing jumps off at me when I look at Straley's stats that say, oh yeah, target him. Freddie Freeman is apparently one of the few baseball players who you cannot use statistics against, because anytime he's in a good matchup, he just pulls 4 fingers down, leaves the middle one up, and puts it right in front of your face. This guy cannot hit bad pitching, but give him good pitching, all of a sudden this guy knows how to play baseball. I don't know that I want to put Dan Straley in with the good pitching crowd, but I don't want to put him in the Wiley Peralta, Jared Weaver crowd either. So my gut reaction is that this should be a pretty good opportunity for Freeman to get another big game out from underneath him today. I think the Braves have some sneaky ability to put up some runs. Definitely not a team that I really want to target most of the time this year from pitching. And I think that Freeman very well could end up leaving the yard in this one. And I don't think he's going to carry a ton of ownership after Will Myers hit for a cycle last night. Paul Goldschmidt in a reasonable matchup against an overpriced gas can in Jeff Samardzija. And just looking down the list, there's a number of guys who can have consideration made for them. All right, top hitter on the day. He kind of burned us yesterday. I don't think he was in this yesterday. I can't remember who my top play was. If it was the same guy, I'm not apologizing because the matchup's just too good today. Let's read some Jared Weaver stats against right-handed pitching last year. 365 WOBA. It is important to also note that that was the same WOBA he had to left-handed bats. This guy had a year-long WOBA of 365. Okay. Fly ball percentage versus right-handers, 50.7. Home run to fly ball ratio versus right, 12.6. All right, middling, nothing great. Pull percentage versus right-handed hitting, 46.7. Hard hit percentage against right-handed pitching, 39.7. Woo! That is going to paint quite the ugly picture for Jared Weaver going up against some right-handers. And what better right-hander to talk about than Nolan Arenado? Let's make no mistakes about it. Arenado is my favorite baseball player, so it really does get tough sometimes to take that bias out of it. But there's no bias here. None at all. You've got a guy who is getting slaughtered by right-handed bats, and it's not that he's not getting hit by left-handed bats, but he seems to minimize the hard contact. It's under 30%. Immediately people tend to rush to that opposite-handed bat because they think that that's the key to success. It's all in the stats. The stats say that guys like Nolan, Trevor Story, Mark Reynolds, who's off to an amazing start to the year, those are the guys I really want to target today. Now, I will be playing a heavy core stack, and I think I'm probably going to get, this will be the first time I put Gonzalez in my lineup this year. I think I do like running, Blackman, DJ, Carlos, and Nolan. I think this is the first time that stack is actually going to work out this year. It has not thus far. There's been some missing component to it. I don't think it happens this time. I think that these guys are going to have big nights, Nolan being my favorite. I think he's going to be able to get outside of the park. It wouldn't shock me if he's able to face Jared Weaver twice, if he goes deep twice. So Nolan is the guy, similar to Will Myers yesterday, who just has this ton of upside, great hitter, and has to be in your lineup tonight. So once again, our top 3 tournament batch: JT Realmuto, Freddie Freeman, Nolan Arenado. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to researchfantasy.com, sign up for our MLB mailing list. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.